I reviewed nearly 200 AI governance job postings, and what I found contradicts almost everything career transitioners are being told today. The path most people are chasing, entry-level openings, AI-specific certifications as the first move, that's not where the jobs actually are. So if you've been wondering why the applications are not landing, this video may save you months. I'm going to show you what the market is actually asking for, what it pays, and what I would build first if I were trying to become job ready today. Hi, everyone. I am Obi, and I help professionals transition into AI governance careers, and I help organizations design AI governance systems. And today, we are not guessing. We're looking at what the actual market is telling us. The foundation is a published market study by Axial Search, a recruitment firm that analyzed 146 AI governance job postings from LinkedIn, Indeed, and Glassdoor. They deduplicated the data, they normalized the salaries, and they classified seniority levels. It's the most detailed public analysis of AI governance hirings that I've come across. On top of that, I went through dozens of current postings myself across Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and Glassdoor to see how the market looks right now. So once you see these numbers, the strategy for breaking in starts to look a little different. Let's start with the first assumption that the market kills. A lot of people think that there's a healthy entry-level AI governance path. The data says otherwise. About 85% of AI governance roles are mid-level, requiring 5 or more years of experience. Only 3% are junior level. So when people say, I'll just get certified and apply for entry-level AI governance jobs, well, they are often aiming for a doorway that's barely open. The real path is usually through adjacent experience. For example, in privacy, compliance, risk management, audit, data governance, legal, security, and technology. That is what gets you closer to the threshold that companies are actually hiring for. Now, that alone changes how you should think about this career. But the next finding is the one that will probably surprise people even more. The second assumption worth re-examining is that certification is the main barrier to entry. The data tells a different story. In the actual study, only 12% of postings mentioned certifications at all. That's roughly 1 in 8. And now, before I go further, let me be clear about what certifications do well, because they do signal real things. They show structured learning, they show professional commitment, they show some fluency, and those are genuinely valuable. What the data is telling us, though, is that the market is asking for something else. When certifications do show up in the postings, it's privacy and security credentials that lead the list. For example, CIPP shows up ahead of CISSP, CIPM, and CDMP. AIGP, the AI-specific governance certification, appears as well. And to be fair, AIGP is still gaining recognition, and I'm seeing it more often in current postings. So the picture there is still evolving, but the broader pattern still holds. The message from the market right now is not show me AI-specific book knowledge first. The message is show me governance maturity, show me adjacent credibility, show me that you can operate in a risk environment. And third, if you're asking where the widest door is, it's in consulting. About 51% of AI governance postings come from professional services firms. That means firms like Deloitte, PwC, Ernst & Young are major hiring engines in this space. Technology companies are smaller by comparison, and then financial services come after that. So if you're trying to break in, consulting is not just a side note. It should be one of the clearest on-ramps that you could take. And here's the other part. This is overwhelmingly an enterprise function. Roughly 8 out of 10 roles are at large organizations. Small companies and startups make up a much smaller share. That tells you that AI governance is being funded where regulation, scale, and cross-functional coordination are already real. And that helps explain why entry-level openings barely exist. Big enterprises don't tend to hire juniors into governance functions. They hire experienced operators. So that's where the jobs are. The next question is, what actually makes someone valuable once they're in the running? The number one skill showing up across postings is not framework memorization, it's risk assessment. That appears in roughly half of all listings. Right behind it are stakeholder management and team leadership. Then comes frameworks, the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, the ISO, and the EU AI Act, as well as GDPR. And yes, you need to know those. Those are non-negotiable. Technical tools also show up. For example, things like Microsoft Purview, cloud AI platforms, but they don't dominate the postings. Now, remember, this is mainly a governance role and it's not a developer role. And one of the clearest signals in the data is that communication keeps showing up as a separator. In other words, the stronger candidate is not just knowledgeable, they are usable. And when you see what these roles pay, that distinction matters even more. Now, let's talk about compensation. Mid-level AI governance roles come in at a median of about $159,000. Junior roles start around $130,000, but the big jump happens at senior level. Director and above reaches a median of about $273,000. And this is a serious salary band. And one nuance I want you to catch here is that mid-level salaries cluster pretty tightly. The market seems to have converged on what this role is worth. The real upside comes when you move from participant to leader. But there's another practical reality in this market that career transitioners need to hear. Only about 13% of AI governance roles are fully remote. That surprised me. But it also makes sense. This is a relationship heavy, influence heavy function. Companies want governance professionals who are close to leadership, close to decision makers, and close to systems and the teams that they need to influence. So if your plan depends on being fully remote and having that be the only option you have, just be a little realistic. You may be narrowing down your options. Let's move from the market itself to what this might mean for you strategically. Here's what I want every career transitioner to take away from this. First, rethink how much weight you're putting on certifications. Certifications can help. It can add language, it can add structure, it can add confidence, and the credibility that a CIPP or an AIGP gives you is real. But the data does not support treating it like it's the main gateway. Applied experience matters more. The second takeaway is take the consulting path seriously. If in-house roles feel hard to access, that doesn't mean that the market is closed. It may just mean that you're looking at the wrong entry point. Consulting gives you a broader exposure, faster pattern recognition, and more opportunities to work across industries and governance problems. The third thing is your adjacent experience may count more than you think. If you come from privacy, from compliance, audit, legal, data governance, security, risk management, technology, you're not starting from zero. You're much closer than you think. The real task is not inventing experience that you don't have. It's translating the experience that you already have into governance language that the market recognizes. And this is the work that I do with professionals in my coaching program, translating adjacent experiences into governance language that hiring managers recognize. If that's useful to you, the link is in the description below. No pressure, just an option. Fourth, build applied skills, not conceptual familiarity. If risk assessment keeps showing up, then you should be practicing risk assessment. If stakeholder management keeps showing up, then you should be able to explain how you would align legal, compliance, product, data science, and business teams around an AI use case. If communication separates strong candidates, then you should be practicing how to explain governance trade-offs clearly, simply, and persuasively. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They know the words, but they cannot demonstrate the work. Or they can demonstrate the work, but they don't know how to communicate what they've done. And that brings me to the one thing I would do differently if I were starting over today. If I were breaking into AI governance today, I would build a portfolio of governance work products before anything else. Before another certification, before doing more passive learning, I would build a portfolio. Why? Because the market is telling you very clearly what it values. It values applied capability, it values risk assessment, it values stakeholder judgment, it values communication, and a portfolio lets you demonstrate all of that. You can write an AI risk assessment for a hypothetical company. You could create a use case classification framework. You could draft policies with implementation guidance. These are proof. They give you something concrete to discuss in interviews. They help you sound like someone who can do the work, not just study the work. And because I don't want this to stay theoretical, I want to give you something that is practical. So I put together some resources to help you build your AI governance portfolio. These resources help you to build AI governance artifacts and start creating work products that you can actually use in interviews and on LinkedIn. So if you want those, check the link below. Start there before you spend more months just collecting information. And here's the bottom line. AI governance market is real. The pay is real. The need is also real. But the path in it is not what people think. It's not mainly about chasing entry-level openings that barely exist. It is not mainly about certifications that you hold. It is not also about memorizing frameworks. The path in is through adjacent experiences, applied capability, and proof that you can help organizations govern AI in practice. So, if this helped you, please subscribe and share it with other people who this might benefit. And in the comments, tell me this. Which of these three findings changes how you're going to approach this? The lack of entry-level roles, what the data shows about certifications, or the consulting opportunity? Please drop it in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.